Hello and welcome to Creativity TV.
On today's show, Diane Herbert shows us some creative ways with X-cut nesting dies and using the Wellington collection.
Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Di Herbert and today we're going to be making this circle card. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our die cutting. So for our die cutting we are going to need a large scallop on our blue card and a large plain circle for our white card. So first of all we're just going to line these up. So we pop our scallop on top of our blue, sandwich them up and pop them through our die cutting machine. And we then have our little blue scallop. For our white circle, we actually draw this instead of die cutting it. If we draw just inside, we will get a slightly smaller circle than if we die cut. So just run your pencil round. We then cut this one out. So cut this nice and slow so that you get a nice smooth edge. And remember to try and turn the card, not the scissors. Okay, our next job is we're going to stamp our sentiment onto the front of our card. So we're going to use our Wellington stamps. And we have this lovely little sentiment in the middle. Okay, so pop to your acrylic block and take your black ink. And this is a dye-based ink, so it will dry quickly. And lots of little kisses all over our stamp. And then just stamp in the middle. So you have a stamped image like so. The next thing we're going to do is we're just going to de-stress around the edge. So to do that, I'm going to take my blue ink and a baby wipe, which I've dried out, and gently tap again and just de-stress the edges. And just keep working your way round. Less is more. And you can always add more ink if you need to, but you can't actually take it away. When you've finished, it will look just like that. Good. Okay? I've already placed tape on the back of there, and we've just stuck that centre to our scallop circle. So the next bit we're going to do is we're going to stamp our little girl. Now, she again is from our Wellington set, so we'll peel her off and pop her onto our acrylic block. Now we're going to stamp her onto just a piece of the white card that we did our sentiment on. Again, we're using our black dye-based ink, so lots of little kisses all over. And we're just going to stamp her down like so. We're then going to colour her in. And for colouring in, we're going to use some watercolours. So I like to work with my watercolours and a paintbrush. And I've got a little pot of water there where I pick up my colour off my brushes and then I just gently colour her in. When I want a little weeny bit more depth of colour, so for like the top of here, I can just add a bit there. And then again, a little bit more water. And I can drag this then into the rest of my image. And keep going until you've completed her. And then we're just going to cut her out. So I've finished colouring her in and I've cut her out. I've also, in a moment, I've popped the foam tape onto the back. So we'll just pop that to one side as well. So to make the actual base of the card, we're going to draw around a tea plate, and we're just going to score it in half. So here's one that I've already done. And I've also stamped my sentiment just along the bottom. This little sentiment actually comes from the Lucy Cromwell set. And so that it doesn't fall over, we've also slithered a little weeny piece off the back as well, so that when you stand it, it doesn't actually rock, it stands nice and straight. So then we're just going to assemble the card. We're going to take some of our tape and we're going to pop it across the lower section of our scallop circle. This tape's nice and strong, and you just need to snip it with your scissors. Remove your backing, and then this one just goes about there. So our little coloured in version. Now she's got some foam tape just on the side, as I said, which will sit onto the actual white base of the card, and a little weeny bit of tape that's going to sit actually onto the circle, so that she's nicely stuck down, like so. We're then going to make some flowers. Now, to make the flowers, we're going to use our small plain circle, and we're going to use some more of our white card. And we're going to pop this through the machine. And we like to work in odd numbers, so we're going to do 3 of those. Right, with these we're going to cut them into a spiral. So take our scissors and we're just going to cut round. And then this little piece here, we're just going to round off, like so. We're then going to distress the edges like we did with the sentiment. So again, we're going to use our blue ink and our baby wipe. We're just going to distress the edges, and we do this with all 3 of them. So you've got them like that. We're then going to coil them up, and to coil them we're just going to pinch over the end and wind. When you finish winding them up, you'll have a little rose like that. We're then going to stick this down with a little weeny bit of glue, and we're just going to use a little weeny bit of our silicone here. Pop that down. And we're going to leave those to dry. We're now going to make our leaves, and again these are cut with a circle cutter, so the same size as we used before. So we cut one, we then pop that back on again, and this time we just want that small piece there. So we send that back, and that will give us our leaves. We then fold that one in half, just to give it a little bit of shape, and bend it a little weeny bit. And then again we're just going to distress the edges. And we're going to repeat this until we have our 5 leaves. So you now have your 5 petals and you have your 3 roses. So now we just assemble these on the card. So again, a little weeny bit of silicone, pop a little bit on the back. We're using the silicone because this will just give us a little weeny bit of movement so that we can make sure we've positioned them right. And then we're going to pop a little weeny bit onto the bottom of our petal, and we're going to pop the petals in underneath the roses. So just to create a little weeny bit of balance, we're just going to repeat the process that we've done with the small roses, and we're going to make a slightly larger one just on this side. So for that one, we're going to use the next size up circle. So again, we're just going to pop that one over onto that side. And we're going to use 2 petals underneath there. So there you have your circle card with your scallop circles.
Katie can tell you how terrible I am at making my flower embellishments for my cards. They end up looking more like springs than a flower, but the X-cut nesting dies makes it look much easier.
It does take a little time to get used to, so don't give up quite yet. Diane's demonstration is perfect for learning how. I love how she's created a shape card using the nesting dies too.
You'll find more creative ways to use your X-cut nesting dies with Julie Kirk in the July-August issue of Creativity magazine.
I've also been playing with some nesting dies, and I've created this scrapbook page. I've used the nesting bunting dies to make this background in a sort of patchwork effect.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's also using my favourite Happy Days collection.
Yeah, that's gorgeous, this collection. If you have been inspired by today's show and would love to show off what you have been making using your X-cut nesting dies, then send us an email at tv@docrafts.com and your project may get featured on a future episode of Creativity TV.
You can also find all the details of how to make the projects featured on today's show right here in the Creativity Club.
Until next time, happy crafting.